Now what we are going to do is just have the image icon in here at the top bar. So let me just go to auth. We have a session in here, so we can use that. Meanwhile, or I mean, let me also remove this position absolute top 0 and right 0 or left 0 from here because we don't need that. Now what we need is come to auth.tsx. We have the data which is session. So let me create a hook for this, a custom hook. So if I open, I mean just to do a folder here called hooks. Let me just make a hook called fetch session dot tsx. So let me here import these three things. Not the three things. Let me see what we can do. Make a function here called export const. I can say fetch session. Let me write it down. So in here, let me have data as session. So add it, save it. So we have the data and data is renamed as session. So we are going to return the session in here. So I can say return the session. Now we can use this hook in any place we want. For example, in the auth.tsx, let me have import the hook name called fetch session and just call the hook in here. And do we need to pass anything? No, we don't need to pass anything. We just need to call it and get our session from in here. So I can just destructure. Let me do this. Let session equals to fetch session. So in this case, we don't need this, and certainly we don't need to import your session from Next or React, and it will work the same. So it is working. If I just change this to negation, we will not see anything but the button of sign in. So just reboot it back. Let me do same thing in the home.tsx. I mean, not in the home, in the top bar. So come to top bar. Let me import the same thing that we did in here. Okay, I think it is in here. Use fetch session or fetch session in top bar. So import it at the top. Now we need this session from this fetch session hook. So get it. And if I just do a console.log of session, let me see what are we getting. So it is an object which contains a user object that contains our image. So let me do save it dot image. So we have an issue that says it can be possibly null. So just add a question mark in here to optional chain it. So we have this session dot user dot image. Let me just make an image tag after this common input. So I can say image src session dot user dot image, and we have an issue. It can be null, so we can just do if it is null or if it exists, only then display it, otherwise display an empty fragment. So it is very big, so we have to cut it. So make a class name in here. This will say styles dot current or say user image. Now save it. So in the style of top bar, let me add this in here. User image width 30px. It is very small. Let me make width 30, height 30 as well. Okay, first of all, we need to just arrange them properly. So let me close fetch session. Let me open auth. No, not auth. Open index. I mean top bar. So in this div, we have a class name of styles dot right. Basically right top bar, and here we have left top bar. So just like left, we can say right, and we can just add these things in here. So it will be like this. Perfect. So we can just reduce them. We can just do left comma yes dot right. Then don't need these things. reuse the things. Fine. So let me just add a cursor. I mean, not here in the user image, that is cursor of pointer. And let me also add one more property called object fit cover. So it is very much like GitHub, but the image that we are having, it is rounded. So border radius, make it 50%. It is also now rounded, but I can increase the size of this to 40. So increase and it will be like this. We now have the top bar person icon or user icon. If I click this, we are opening the drawer from the right. And if I click this, it is getting opened from the left. So the next thing we want to do is, okay, let me give it a refresh. So we have the top repo section here. So our drop bar is pretty much done. So let me come to or close in, let me close top bar, come to home.tsx. Let me do this thing. So we have top bar. We can just add top repos or top repositories section in here. So let me make in the home one more folder called top repos for the home page. So in the top repos, let me make a file of index.tsx and one for styling. So I can say top repos dot module dot css. Let me increase size of this a little bit. Of the in the top bar, we have to add a function. This will be a functional component. So not top bar, top repos, import styles, top repos dot module dot css. We have this top repos we are having. Let me add, or let me just, we have to add it in the home page. So let me do that. Top repos from this route, add this in the home page. So we're reading it in here. So let me remove the top repos text and give the color of this. This tip should have a class name of styles dot, let's say, top repos. So let me grab styles. What we can do is make background color as gray and let me give height of 100 vh. Okay, then we can say width of 40%. What about this? Too much? About 20. 20 is, make 25. So I guess that works for us, but the color is not matching, so we have to just check this color. Inspect it. We have to check this color. What color is this? Let me check. Click this. Not like this. Let me just do this. Click this one. We don't see a color here. No, we do see it, this color that we are having. Let me copy the hex code of this. Add this in here. Let me check. No, this is not the color that we want. I guess we have to shoot it in the sky. So what I mean is just drag this in here. No, a little bit more darker. I think that's perfect. I mean, not perfect, but it's fine. A little bit more lighter. Save. So in this place, like the thing is, we are overflowing our page. Let me make this as display, not display, position as fixed, so that it will be fixed. Now in the top repos, let me add some text. It will be here. Now what we need is to show the top repos text. So make a p tag, add top repos. It will be here. Then we have button of new. So let me go to Tailwind button. Just have a button of, let's say, accent. Let me grab it, add it, save it. Button will be here, but we have to make it smaller. So now what we have to do is arrange them in a single row. So in top repos, make display as flex, justify content, center. Okay, not center, space between. Add padding. What happened? Padding 20 or 30 px. No, they are padded. Okay, so we have top repositories and a new button. So in the p tag, give it a class name, and this will be styles dot header of top repos. So I can just add a header in here. So I have added two fonts. So let me get these fonts from like somewhere. So if I check where I have added the fonts in the top bar, so common top bar fonts. This is the bricolage grotesque. So add it in here. We can also add, do we need to, I mean, font color. So just say color white smoke. Then what we need is font weight 600, make it bold, and font size 19 px, a little bit bigger than usual, but it is not, so just make what it was before. Fine. Also have the button which is new. We can change the, we cannot change it, I guess, because it does not allow us. So I guess that is fine. Now what we have to do, when we click the button, we should create a new repos. But before that, let me create. So we have the list of all the repositories for a current user. So if I come to, we can say API get GitHub APIs.jsx or tsx. We have this get all user repos. So let me make a hook out of this. So in the home, we are having top repos. Let me make a folder called, so this hooks will contain all the hooks for the home component. So I can make a hook called get, I can say, what can we name it? Get top repos. Get top repos.tsx. So we can make a functional component in here, and then just add a use effect hook. In the use effect hook, we are going to call this function, which is called get all user repos. So I have called it. This will, okay, we have to pass the current username. So we have to get it from here. So we can say username, which can be a string. We have to pass it further in the get all user repos. Let me have a state const. We can say top repos set top repos equals to use state empty array. So let me get the response in here that we will return, and then we can simply set the response in this top repo state. We have an issue that it can be empty. So if I come to get github.tsx, we are having the function. So make it a async function, await the request from OctoKit. Save it. What is the issue in here? Okay, let me add async await, or okay, let me just do a function in here called const and say get top, or let's say get repos. Let me make the function as asynchronous and await this. So we have to call it in here, but the thing is our error is not going away. So what we can do is, okay, let me first check the response in here. What is it that we are getting? So let me call the get top repos in the, not in the home, in the index in here. Import get top repos from the hooks folder, then execute the hook. And okay, what is happening? So execute the hook, then pass the username of the person, which is me. So where do I get the username from? Where do I get the username? So if I open index, we are having get current user in here, and we are passing this static text. So I think what can we do is we have one more hook in the main folder called fetch session, but this is not going to help us. So I think what we can do is come to inspect, come to application tab, we have session storage. Inside we should have a session in here, but we can not see it. So if I come to get username, we are having fetch current user where it is running. Let me check. Okay, we did it wrong somewhere, which is in the index.tsx home component. Let me open the home component, home index. So where was it? Let me return the data from in here. So we have to call the function if we want the current user. So let me do it in here. Const. Okay, so in the use effect hook in get all repos we can call it, but let me call it in the index. So the function name is fetch current user. Import fetch current user. Let me add a or an a use effect hook. Then call fetch current user. So it will return me something called data from in here. So let me get let data equals to this. Let me comment this for now. Then console.log data. If I open console, we are seeing that API request failed. So if I open application tab, okay, sorry, not application, networks tab. What is the issue here? Bad credentials. So let me make this as a function outside. So I can say const get current user data equals to use. What am I doing? We need a function. So make a function and pass these two things along in here. Now then call this get current user data function, and the function here that we made get current user data will be async, and we have to await this. We are getting undefined here. So if I give it a refresh, it is still undefined. So I guess we're doing something wrong in here. So what we can do, remove this block of code and then just have it. Still it will not work. Why don't I make this as async and then await? Why it is returning us undefined to us the data in here? Line number 11. Okay, if I do clg data, we are getting the data in here. So I guess we should make it as a JSON. If I clg this data in here, we should get all the data of our users. Yes, so we have to pass this. So if I return, okay, let me do one thing. Let me store the result of this in a response variable like this. Then we don't need these stuff. We will just return the response dot JSON. The thing is, we need to make this as a promise. So make async, then await the fetch. Yes, now we're getting it on line number 11 in here. So it's working. We are getting all the data of the current user. So what we need is the username. So let me have login username in here. Just do this. Perfect. The username is here, and using this we can just call get top repos. So let me pass, or let me create a state here. Const current user set current user equals to use state, say an object. Why don't I move these things in a separate hook? So in the hooks folder, let me make, in the main hooks folder, outside hooks, let me make a file called fetch current user .tsx. This will be a functional component. Basically, yes, I get. Okay, 1 second. Let me check. Hooks are components. Am I right? But this will be not default. Just a function then. And let me move these things in here. Import state hook and use effect hook from React. Then what is the issue? It does not exist on type of element. So we can just do data, not login. Let me store this in this state that I made, and then just have return us the user. So I can say return user or current user. But we need to call this function when we mount this hook. So use effect, then just call get current user data. Now let me call this in here. I can say fetch user. It will return me some data of our current user. So I can say this. It is returning us this key name called current user. So let me get it here. Now you have to pass the current user dot in here dot username. Is that correct? We have a issue. What is this issue? Should have a queue. This is bug in React. Okay, the thing is the function name is same in both of them. So make it use fetch current user. So we have to just save it, change the hook name. Okay, we don't need this use effect hook in here. Make this as this as this as well. It has no exported member of use fetch current user. This is different. Okay, I think I'm doing it wrong. This will not be from any APIs. Let me import it. Import use fetch current user. The error will go away. Now, another error is here that we have to import fetch current user from somewhere. So it is a function, not this either. Fetch current user is, yes, it is in here. So let me do import fetch current user from API get username. Yes, now it's fine, no errors in here. Now this will be current user dot username, I guess. So why don't I just do a console log of this first? What are we getting in the current user? We will pass the data accordingly. So it is name, it is login. So we can use this. The thing is, this should be in the current user state in here. So destructure it. I mean, just add it in the object. Now let me copy this key name, revert the code back, then pass this key name in here. This will return us something. So we have this get top repos. Let me remove unused React import. So we are having get top repos. Let me check the hook in here, get top repos. So we are passing the data in here, the username. We are passing it further in the get all user repos, and if I just return this get repos in the use effect hook, we should get all our repos. Here we are getting the data. So to structure it, I mean just get response.data and all the repos are here for our current user. So what we can do, set it in here using set top repos, return this state. So we have two hooks and they are both working properly in Next.js. So this will return top repos. So we can just get this from in here. So if I do a CLG of this in here, we should get all the repos on line number 9. Perfectly. Perfect. Now let me have some H2O, some water. Now what we're going to do is, in here, make a div. In the div, let me map through all the top repos to get the details in here. So top repos dot map, we can say repo. And let me not do this. Let me just return a div, another div inside. In this div, let me just have something called a p tag. Let me print these things. So we are printing the name here, Nishan 666 threads clone React. So are we having something like this in here? we have the name somewhere. So we are having the owner. So we can just do a p tag. I can say repo dot owner. Do we have owner outside? Let me just print the name first. So this name should be in this repo object empty string. Save. We should get all the names in here. We are getting it. I mean, we have to work on this, but it's fine. We are getting how many repos? 10 repos. So if I come to API, get GitHub APIs.tsx, we are having page as 10. So let me get a limit property in here. That will be a number. So this limit will be at the place of this 10 so that we can just control it. Now we have to pass 10 in here. Sorry, not 10. Let's say we pass 5 to get only 5 repos currently. So we should have 5 repos, but we cannot see it because, okay, let me just do this in the console. We are getting 5 repos. Let me make it to not 5. Let's say 7 or 8. That's a good number. 7. Okay, so we can use this one, full name. That is what we are saying in here. So if I do, just do repo dot full name. Let me add this in here. We should get full name in here. The thing is, this should be in one div to arrange them properly like we have on GitHub. And fine. And let me give a class name in here. This will be styles dot header or head container. Name it whatever you want. So this head container will be in here. So it is here. We are having these two things, button and the p tag. Let me make display as flex, justify content, center, and third thing. Okay, then we don't need padding. Okay, we don't need padding in here. Sorry. So remove. Now just add one property here called flex direction as column to make this on single column. In that case, this is not needed. It is perfect. Is it? Just let me add a gap of 30px. Now it is perfect. So we are writing all the repo names in here. So in the index, let me name this div as a repo or styles dot repo list. Perfect. And let me now come over here. We can say repo list. Okay, so what we can do is nothing in here. So just leave it the class name that it is, or just remove the class name because we might want to add something later. So in this div, okay, one thing we can do in here is add margin 10px. So it will be like this. So no, I don't think we can do it in here. Now, okay, I have closed index accidentally. Add a class name here. This will be styles.repo. So we can use this class name and we can add margin 0, 20px. No, I think 20 and 0. I always get confused in things like that. But 20 is too much. Let's try 10. 10 is fine. We have all the repos in here. Now the next thing we need to do is add a class name on the p tag, and this will be style.repo name. So just come in here, dot repo name we will do. Let me change the font family in here, or I can change font family of the entire page like this. So this is also the color of white smoke. So just do it in here. It is done. Okay, it is not fully white. Okay, I think that's fine. White smoke. Okay, I can change the color because it is hurting my eyes. So make it a little bit less opacity colored like this. It is now perfect for us. Is it? Now in the p tag, we will do one more thing, that is text decoration underline. To have an underline thing like this. Okay, we don't have underline, so remove it. I don't know why I added that. What we have is font weight 600. Save. It is now 600 fonted. It is 600? I think it is not. So just leave it. I think the color should be not purely white, a little bit glare. This is perfect. I think. Yes. It's working. Okay, we also have the image of the user. See this image. And if I hover this, we can see underline property in here. So just do hover. We can say text decoration underlined. If I hover them, we can see. Let me also add one property called cursor as pointer. Save, and the cursor will be changed to pointer. So as I said that we are having icons of the user in here, small icons. So let me close these things. So we are having current user. So if I do a console log of the current user in here, it is an object which contains the avatar URL. So if I just do current user dot avatar URL, it is not, it is here. So I guess the thing is this key name does not exist on the current user. So it is from use fetch current user, I mean. Then let me add this key name. So 1 second. We have avatar URL. If I refresh, I am getting this issue. Okay, how did this happen? So I don't think we have to pass the username like a static string. Just pass this here. Now it will work. If I give it a refresh, still the error we are having in here. So if I do a console, what is happening is initially, if I refresh, let me show you. When we pass when the username changes, only then run it. So if I refresh, still the error. Okay, once we have this, so yes, what we can do is we can run get repos only when we have the username. So wrap it in a curly and just add this. Give it a refresh. It will be now working fine. So we have all these repos. Fine. Okay, so I was to get the current user image. So I don't need this. We have index. So we are having current user console. So let me check that. Open the console. We have an object. Okay, I am bugging from this issue. So why don't I make one index just to have the error go away? Key index. The data we are having, we need the avatar URL from current user object. Let me get it. So from here, current user, which is from fetch current user. So this should be in here. Save. It is not here anymore. So we can just show it. So let me just make an image tag in here with the source of this URL and save. So it will be like this, big. And one thing is we cannot scroll, so that is the issue. So if I make this a scroll, I mean I want this to scroll. If I make height as 100 VH, yes, now I can scroll. Add a class name on this image that will say styles dot current user image. So we need to use this class here. So we have repo name just like that. We have current user image make width as 30px. Sorry, what am I doing? Width 30px and small. Also height 30 as well. Border radius 50%. Save them. So the image is now rounded. Perfect. So the next thing we have to do in the repo inner class, just do display of flex and align items center, add a gap 20 px, let's say 20 is a little bit much, say 10. Okay, fine. So the images in here, we have to make them a little bit smaller. Now they look like GitHub. If it is in one line, it is matching the size of the text. But if it is in different line, it is like in the center of the scope of this text. So we are having top repos, it's done. We also have the search bar that we will add it later. Now we have this. Let me add this GitHub 2. Let me add a value. Let me add how to add a repo using the new button. If I click it, let's see what happens. So if I click it, we are going to this page of new. We have this kind of stuff in there. So let me now do that, but we will not make a new page. Okay, I can make a new page. So should I make a new page? I think yes. So what I need to do is, in the pages we have home or index. Let me make a page called new repo.tsx. This will be a functional component, and when we click the new button, we should be on that page. So we have to import use router from next router. So let me do that. Create the instance of router equals to use router. So this router will go on this button. So I can just make on click as a callback router. This will be new repo. Maybe this will be not router. It will be router.push. If I click the button of this, we will be on this new page. Now one thing I want to show you is this. So we have the top bar which is in the home component. So let me move this top bar into the pages. So we have app.tsx. If I add it here, we will see top bar everywhere. So we need top bar. So if I just import top bar from this, we will see top bar in here as well as on this page. Like it's a common top bar now for every page. So in this page of new repo, we have this page new repo. Similarly, let me make a file of styling. So I can say new repo dot module dot css. Let me close home page, this folder or this page and that page. So let me import this SAS file here in here. Import styles from styles new repo module.css. So I have imported it in here. Let me add a class name on this div. That will be, I can say, what can I name it? Styles dot new repo main. Maybe I suck at naming conventions. So background color, I can say black. If I do this, it will not be properly visible to me, but the thing is, we just need to make height of 100 VH. Now if I see, the color is too much for us, so what we can do is make it on the bluer side. Try this one. I think this is fine for us. We have new repo text, so I can remove it from in here. Instead, add a p tag, save. We need to add this text, create a new repository in here. The thing is, we have to, let me wrap this in another div. All these things that we will create now. And in here, we can say display of flex, justify content, center. Let me add width of 400 px. We don't need this in here then, I guess. what we can do, okay, this also we don't need here, so just remove them. We need to have this on the center. So this div should have a class name of, okay, what we can do is, it is not in the center, so it is a little bit on left, but we can make it in the center. Okay, what we can do is just do display flex and justify content center. Let's see what happens. It is in the center. Create a new repository, but no, it is not looking good to me. So let me remove these two things. Let me see what we can do. So this div will have a class name of styles dot new repo inner. Now have the class name in here and say width 40%. Let's see what happens if I add width 40%, background color as red. Then I can make display of flex, justify content center. Now it is in the center, so I can make width as 50% and remove the red color from here. So we can have this in here. Also give a margin top, say 20 or 30 px, or 40 will even work. We have create a new repository. Let me come here. Now give this tag class name of styles dot repo. I mean, we can say title of this page. So we can say title, font size 24 px, maybe a little bit bigger, say 26. Yes, so we need font weight for 600. Yes, it is now bolder, but the color also we have to change. Maybe decrease the opacity, I mean decrease the contrast. This is now fine. Create a new repository. Are these fonts same? UI sans serif. What about this? Apple system. So no, they are not same. So I had one more font installed, which was Noto Sans. So let me use Noto Sans font in here. Font family Noto Sans. This will be the font of Noto Sans. Create a new repository. Now what we can do, I think this is not doing good. So I guess we can use the same font that we used in here, called Bright College Grotesque. Copy, paste, save. Fine, we can say this, create a new repository. Now we need to add this small text in here. So make another p tag and say this. This is also, we can make a class name styles dot subtitle. So in the new repo model.css, I can say subtitle, and in the subtitle, let me make this as font size as 14 px, because this is very small. I mean, not very small, but it is smaller. A little bit more, let's say 15. I think that's fine. The color is gray. Let me have this color. So if I just drag it, the marker, let's say Baba, it is a little bit more grayer. I'm trying to match it, the quality of GitHub. Let's say this one, 939393. Yeah, I think that's fine. After this, we have this text required fields are marked with an asterisk. So let me have the owner name in here. We are having this, but I don't think we need to add this. Do we need to add this? Let me add this. Let me add a p tag, say owner. You will see the owner text. Just wrap this in a div. We have owner. So the owner is just the name of the person. Okay, one more thing we have. Let me add it. This is the repository name. They are both mandated to add. So they will be on different lines, but we will arrange them on single lines. So at the place of owner, Let me make a span tag, and here we are having the current username Nishant 666. So I can just add this in here. Okay, let me just add, or let me make this entire page first. Like add the mandatory things only, like repo name and such. So this div will have a class name of styles dot, we can say, repo form, because it is a form that we can use to send data. So in the new repo inner, do we need to add? Yes, on the same level, we can just add this, the margin top 30px. We have this. Let me now come to Tailwind. Do we have input component? Yes, we can get it. Import input from common input from this component. After repository name, just display it. So we are having this issue. We need to have a title. This says nothing, so just leave it as empty. We have a repository name. Maybe add a little class names in here. What if I add a div instead and just say class names? We can say styles dot input or form repo input. So this repo input in here we have to add. Should we add it in the repo form? Yes, to make it complicated. And say margin top 20px. Too much? What about 10? 10 is fine. We have description, which is optional. So let me also add it in here. Copy these two things, add them in here, which is optional. So description will be a lot bigger. So this will, or we cannot have a text area. I mean, we cannot have an input in here. So I can just have text area in here. So if I search for text area, we can have a text area like this. Let me grab JSX, copy the JSX, create a component for this called text area. I'm trying to just follow good stuff. I mean, what can I say? So in that div, we can just add this. Let me copy text area, add this in here, common, or we can set text area. The thing is, the name will clash. No, it will not clash because it's just a component. So we can just add it in here. So we will now have text area like this that we can increase the size of. So let me have the title in here as well, and we can just have the placeholder as title. Now if I come in the Tailwind, how to increase size of this? If I come down, we have sizes, but it is for height only. This text area takes a param called rows and column. So I don't know which one works for which one. So if I row 240, it will be not working. So if I make column as 40, maybe 140, too much, try 100, it is working. So it is big, but 100 it's too much. Let me try 80. I think 80 is fine. Also, we need to add a background color of this. So this should be black, not this color. So let me just convert this to template literals again. Template literals. No, I am tired. I am having trouble speaking because it's 11:58. So in this we can just do width, or do we have anything for width? Okay, in the input, I think we have a class name. W full max W access. What if I add this in here? What will happen? Nothing will happen. If I save, okay. Okay, I am to change the color of this. So what am I doing? So just do, we can say styles dot text area. So let me import styles from the neighbor styling. So I can say text area dot module dot scss. So I can do this and it will work. The next thing we have to do, come to interfaces in index, interface common text area. So let me have title, which can be a string. Let me remove, okay, in here we can make it a string. So let me copy interface name, add it here as properties. Title will go in here and it will be working fine. Now about this class name, text area, we can come here, say background color as this. So this means the color from this home module, which is I think black. Okay, no, not black. From new repo module, this color. Save. Okay, still not fine. If we have common input, okay, I think this color will work. 14, 14, 14. Yes, now they are same. Let me come here. We have description. Let me add a margin top on this. If I add a text, I mean, if I add a class name in here, so I can say class name styles dot repo desc or description. Now in the new repo, close text area or and input. In the new repo, I mean in the repo form, I can say margin top 10 pixels. Now then they look perfect. We have repository name and the description. We also have public and private, but I will add them later. We have adding a readme file, adding it ignored, choosing a license, and this kind of stuff. So I will add it later. Let me just have this two important things: the repo name and the owner. So I have repository name and the description. So let me also add this after the subtext. This, fine. So let me just wrap this in a p tag, not leave it outside. Now it's much better. Now what we have to do, this in here. Okay, we have a button in here. So this button that we are having, it is the action button. So let me grab the button or the common button. I can say import common button from this component, render it here, return it here. But I mean that it is returning or it is receiving on click event and a title. So I can say title will be create repository. Save. We also have an on click event, but let me make in here const create repo. So this will be in here and we can say on click on the button and this function will run. Now the next thing we have to do, let me do this in the interfaces. This on click can be optional because we can pass it or skip it. It's not mandatory. Now in the common button, we are having it here. Let me give margin top in the common button. So let me make class name, let me make a style file called button dot module dot scss. Let me import it. Import styles from the route in here. Then on this button, let me convert this to template literals again. Then do this. Then add dollar and have styles dot btn or button. So let me have the button in here. Margin top 20 px. It is working fine. So close this and the button. Now what we need to do is call the function of creating a new repository, which can be this: create a repository for the authenticated user. which is taking the name, description, homepage, private component, I mean private, is it not, or something. So what we can do is, let me get data from these two inputs. So I can make a state here called repo data, comma, set repo data equals to use state. It will be an object. So use not session, use state. Now what we need to do is remove the use session from here because that's imported by mistake with me or from me or by me. Now let me make a function here called const get inputs. Tired I am. So this will take an event which will be of the type of react dot form event, or not form event, change event, then HTML input element. They think that will work, and this get inputs will go on the text area and on the common input. So what we can do is, okay, let me name this as on change. This will be also on change, so we have to add this in the interface folder, interface file for common input, which is an optional param. This will be a void param. The same thing we can do in here. Save this two components, input and text area, will receive this props, then on change as on change. Let me do same thing in the text area. This will be on change and on change. Now we have an issue here. Okay, the thing is we are using void here, but this will be an event, and event type will be this type, react.change event and HTML input element. So if I come here, place it in here, do the same thing in here as well, we will have no issues. Now let say name comma value. We need this from event dot target. This can be undefined because they do not exist on this event dot target. We have to also add the name in here. So name we will also get from props. So title, name on change. So the name we have to add in the area of, I mean add this in the interface, which can be a string. Same thing here, let me add. So let me pass name in the common input, and this will be repo name. Pass the name in here. This will be repo description or DESC. Okay, I have found a fix and this is it. So if I add HTML input element in front of event.target as this, it will be fixed. Now in the state of set repo data, let me set it. So set repo data, let me first make a local variable called input. This will be an object with the name property and the value property. So let me do a CLG of input. If I type something in the input boxes, let's say we type repo name Nishant, just for showing you, and description this. Okay, so in the description we also have to, I mean in text area we also have to add the name. So get the name and add it. So if I add it in the description, the name will be repo DESC. Now let me set it in the repo data with the previous state. So I can say prev, and if I add the destructor property of previous with the new property of the input, let me wrap this in a bracket, it will be working fine. If I do a console log of this state in the create repo, we can see it. Click create repository. Okay, it is empty. Okay, let me refresh the page once. Let me add something, it is here. We have to send this data in the APIs. So let me close these files. Let me come to API get GitHub API .tsx export const repo, which will be a function. This will take the two things, repo data dot repo name. So let me make the name as the name we are having here. Like we have the name, which is a string. Then we have the description, which is also a string. Let me copy this await function, make this as asynchronous. So the name will be on the name, description will be on the place of description. We have the home page, github.com. We have private as false, is template and headers. I will add this kind of stuff later. Save the file. Now if I come to new repo, let me import the function of create repo. Import create repo from API slash get GitHub APIs. Call create repo with this data. So I can pass the name, which is repo data dot repo name, comma repo data dot repo description. The thing is expected 0 arguments but got 2. What is the issue? Create repo from API slash this. What? Okay, the thing is the name is clashing. So I can make create repo what is the spelling of repository? I think I missed an R here. Now let me have the function on the button, create repository. Now if I click create after typing this kind of data, we'll run that API call. If I type the name, let me go back to GitHub, my repositories. We are having 128 repositories. So if I make sample, and I can just do, what can I name this? Sample description. Click create repository. We need to have authentication in here, yes. So it will not work. So I have this, like I have come into this authenticating to REST API. Let me see how this works. We have to make a post request to this authorization, and it will return us something, I guess. So let me try this in here first. Just a sample. Export const, I can say authenticate equals to, I can say this thing, function. So we need to make a request to this. So I can say fetch, then api.github.com slash authorization. Then we need the user. So let me just convert this to a fetch API request first. So we need the client ID and client secret. So we can get this from GitHub as well. So if I open settings in here, go to down, all the way down, developer settings, we have OAuth apps. Let me use this Git 2.0 I have created already. So we need to have client ID in here and the client secret. So let me generate it. Let me add my password. Secret is here. Just add it. So we need to run the function somewhere. So let me run it in here. Let me make a button, or just copy this button, add it. This will initially point to authenticate, because later I will add a function for authentication. So I can just run the function of authenticate in here that we are having in the API folder. So if I click authenticate, nothing is happening. So if I open network tab, click it again, authentications, it is running, but message is not found. API github.com authorizations. Is the API endpoint correct? Okay, we have one more option here using Octocat. So let me add the token in here. Dynamic token. We have the endpoint Octocat API authorization. We have token and such X API version of GitHub, this kind of stuff. Now let me give it a try and see what happens. Click authenticate. Yes, it is now working. It is the GitHub cat icon. It means we're authenticated. Now let me try to create it. Let me add the repo name called, I can say sample and description. Click create repository. We need to still have this. Okay. Come to classic tokens in here. Let me generate a new token for classic. Fill all these fields and just copy your token, paste it in the env file or something. Now if I authenticate, it will work just fine. So if I come to inspect network tab, click authenticate, we are seeing the authentication is successful. Now let me create a repo. And one more thing, if I generate a token using classic version, you have to fill all these fields that we need to have the right for admin, public key, and so on. Like all this, we have to fill all the checkboxes for permissions. So do this. So let me create a repository here. We can say sample and we can say sample description. Click create repository. It is successful. If I come to GitHub, let me go to my account on GitHub. We will see a new repository in here called sample with sample description. So it is working perfectly. So we need to change this to false. Okay, let me close the env. Let me come to get username. No, not here. Maybe in here we need to do. So let me just do this to be false. Now template will be false and yes. So that is how we can create a repository. So what we need to do is when we create a repository, we should be on the home page. So let me import use router from next router. Make an instance of this const router equals to use router. Now using the router, we will route. So when we create this, make this as a synchronous function, await this, and then say router.push to the home page. So if I create another repository, let me now comment the button of authenticate because this should not be in here. So comment it out or remove it. So let me delete the button because I have to find a place where I can add this. Maybe in the later parts of the video I will do it. So let me name the repo name as sample2. This is sample2 repo. Click create repository. It has been created and now we are on the home page with sample2 and sample repo names in here.